JB here, June 6th, 2024. Quick pre-market rant. Talk about the markets, some of the names I traded yesterday, some names I'm looking at, and go from there. But take a look at the SPY. We are at an all-time record high close yesterday. Rallied. There was no real big catalyst to speak of outside of yields continuing to decline and the ramp up in NVIDIA ahead of its split. Um, Upper Bollinger Band on the SPY, 535.40, so that probably might be a little tricky resistance. You look at the pre-market action and the overnight action, we actually hit 535.41. So be watching that today. And then on the flip side, I don't know, we're going to have a crazy selling today, but if that does happen, 531 will be support. This morning as well, the ECB was the first major economy to cut rates. They cut their rates a 0.25%. And maybe that's the start of a snowball effect as some of these other major economies might start cutting rates, including the US at some point, probably in the fall. So that's a SPY. Tomorrow we have the jobs reports. That's probably the biggest data point of the week, but we already had the ADP report, a little lighter than expected. You would have to think the employment numbers probably come in a little lighter than expected. And I think that'll just bode well for either more chop or more upside. And I always use the phrase new highs beget new highs. I think it's going to be easier to get from 535 on the SPY to 540 or 545 than it was to get from 525 to 530. So we'll see how things all play out in the coming days. I think one more silver lining, I wouldn't call it a silver lining, but something to watch is these small caps. They still, despite the big market rally over S&P's up, what, 5 days in a row? Uh, actually, 4 days in a row. But a nice reversal. You look at the small caps and you wouldn't know it because they've kind of been trading almost range bound, and that's even despite their 1.5% gain yesterday. If small caps really start to get a bid, that could provide the next leg for markets. So that's the markets overall. Spotify, I talked about this yesterday. I was going to look to close some of my calls at the open. I already locked some in. Broke over 330, closed some more strikes in for a little over 300%. I held a couple. I guess obviously in hindsight, it's easy to say I should have closed the rest at 330. It just couldn't hold that handle. Broke all the way down, trade around pretty much 326, 325 for the rest of the day, then close at 324.75. Still hopeful. Won't take much for it to get back over 330. I think if it can get over that handle, it's 335 plus into tomorrow. So I'll continue to hold the last couple of those calls. DELl finally, well, not finally, added some more strikes. You held that bottom trend line that I put on. You'll see it on the watch list. Back-to-back days to the upside. You know, I say this till I'm blue in the face, but I just don't see how their AI server business can have zero margins. So that's some of my bull case, but I still they still have a huge pent up backlog. There's a lot more legs to the story, in my opinion. So really like DELl here. I was gonna wait till it broke over 140 yesterday, but it seemed like buyers were there and it was getting bid up. So I didn't want to miss it because once it breaks 140, it's probably gonna take off. So got those strikes. I'll continue to look for opportunities to play DELl. And then HPQ. If you look at HPQ, it almost looks like if there's another green session and it holds over 35, it looks like a potential bull flag. So you can't see the chart on here because I'm not doing it live, but when you see the recording, or you can go into the chart channel, uh, typically what you do is you take the flag. So from 33 to 39, well, actually it was almost 40, so that's almost $7. You take half of that. So it's a $3.50 move from where we are now. So if there's a bull flag breakout, that puts us at least back at 39 bucks. If not, well, not 39, 42.50, excuse me. So once we break out over that 39 handle, well, 40 handle, excuse me. My math is not the best right now. I'm just kind of flying by the seat of my pants, but that's kind of the thought there. It's not the most volatile name. It's probably one of its biggest earnings moves it's had in recent memory. So it's not like it's going to move up 4, 5, 6% on the daily time frame. It's going to be 1%, 2%. It's going to take its time, but I still think 40 bucks plus is my target. I talked about it after its earnings. I still think that's the case. A TERN up over 20% at times yesterday. No news, no catalyst, and this is on the heels of its sell-off last Friday, where it hit $7 and then it sold off all the way under $6. I keep talking about TERN. Great cash position. They have a cash run rate to 2026. I was mentioning on my rant yesterday afternoon about Gilead. Gilead did 2 pocket acquisitions of NASH companies back in the day, and a little different here with TERN, but TERN could be a great pocket acquisition for someone who's a mega cap name that's looking to get into GLP-1 space. Think if that seven handle has been like oil and vinegar. I think once that breaks and it holds, it's off to the races to 8 and beyond. It'll get some FOMO. So a little disappointed couldn't hold that 7 handle. I did add some more strikes yesterday with the plan to lock some of my 750s in on June and July. Hopefully I get that chance today, and then I'll just ride the rest. Really like the turn story. GPCR announced the offering data. Well, they press released that the offering was upsized. So the offering, I think, was initially 8 million shares. It was upsized to nearly 10 million shares and was priced at 52.50. All great stuff considering the stock was in the 30s, just a couple days ago. I think it puts the floor in. I still have a couple June strikes left. I'll look to lock those in, add some Julys. I think it heads over 70 in the coming days. And then VKTX added some strikes. Can't go on a long rant on VKTX, but I think it trades up near $70 in the coming days. I think it's going to take like a day or two for it to go up 3 or 4%, and then it's going to go on a multi-day rally and start to recoup all the pullback it had from its February data. And then I think 80, 90, so on and so forth. I did my little spin on GameStop yesterday, but I was looking at calls, and you know, you don't know the story. Back, UPB used to post about it too, the huge short interest on GameStop. Back before the whole huge run, September, I had GameStop calls. December, right before the run, I had $15 GameStop calls. This is back in the day. UPB used to talk about the amount of shares available and the institutions and the shorts. The math didn't make sense. Not only that, debt free, huge scale, large revenue, huge cash position. Anyway, so you look at it now, and it's like the story's a little different. I mean, right now it seems like it's a proxy for the stick it to the man kind of narrative, right? So people who look, and I'm not saying it's doesn't have anything else going for it, but I think if there's similar to what the DJT SPAC did, or the Truth Social did when it spiked from the teens all the way up into the 60s, 70s, 80s. It was like a proxy for Trump, and this is like a proxy for stick it to the man, stick it to the SEC, stick it to the FTC, stick it to the government. So I just look at the premiums, and it's tough on a risk reward basis because you look, and it's like all the way up to the 100 strike on June's, right? So this could easily fall back to 20, but just as easily go up into the 40s. But how much premium are you going to get on those calls? So I'll probably just pass. But that's my little rant on GME. So that's why when I see, I get questions. Some people are posting around the open interest on Roaring Kitty's calls. He has this huge position on June expiration calls. What happens? All the market makers going to have to buy the stock. So everybody wants to create this narrative of this explosion, and if you've done this long enough, most times when that narrative is painted, it never comes to fruition, right? All that happens is those options expire or what have you. But he's probably locked some in. Who knows? But that's my GameStop rant. A C3 AI up for the fourth time over the past 5 sessions. Close over 30. Great sign. I think it heads into the mid 30s and then possibly test that 38 handle. I think that's about it. Avago, well, I keep calling it Avago, but Broadcom, monster rally yesterday, back over 1400. It's 1423 here. Like I say when I get the puts, it's like I'm not getting puts on the company. I think it's a great growth story, great momentum story, great company. Probably going to be higher as the years go on, right? But it has provided a great hedge when markets have found weakness. So, I didn't get the calls, but I'm happy it's up here because when we do get a pullback, and maybe it's at 540 on the SPY, 545, the AVGO puts, maybe the 1300s, will probably be very inexpensive. And if we get a pull, it'll offer another opportunity to protect call positions. I'm trying to think of some of the other names I'm looking at. I think that's about it. Lulu, great earnings. Well, all the way up to 352. So it's bounced around. Nice earnings there. Still like my fiver, and that's been chopping around here between the 24s and the 25s. Yeah, I put IIPR on a watch list over the last couple weeks. I'm still waiting to get some July strikes. That was up near 109 at the close, 109.52. If it gets over 110, I still have some June 120s. I'll look for some July strikes. And I think that's it, folks. Let's have a great day. I'll be back on the audio later. Rock and roll.